Hi, you're listening to Dusk to Dawn, reading horror and weird fiction. We're your hosts, Amber and Dan.
Follow us on Instagram at Dusk to Dawn Podcast. Please rate our show wherever you're listening, and let's get started. Welcome to the podcast. Talking about Little Heaven by Nick Cutter today. This is a book that I wanted to read because I've read the description somewhere and it sounded cool.
That's a good reason to read a book.
You have read The Troop by him, is that right?
I haven't read anything by him.
I thought you said you read The Troop. Maybe John read The Troop. And
John
you read
The Troop.
The Deep, which is what you want to read.
I want to read that. I like underwater stuff.
Tell us about him, this author of ours.
All right. Nick Cutter is actually the pseudonym for Craig Davidson, the critically acclaimed Canadian author known for visceral, psychological, and body horror novels, including his breakout novel, The Troop, as well as The Deep. The Queen. I've read The Queen.
Yeah, I saw that cover. I did recognize that.
I have read something.
Did you like it?
Him. Yeah, I did. That one was interesting. That was lots of bugs. It's like about bees, and there's lots of bugs in it. I read that a while ago for a book club. Anyway, the Dorians and our topic today, Little Heaven, he also wrote. He was born in Toronto and he adopted the pen name Nick Cutter to separate his graphic horror writing from his literary fiction, including novels and short stories.
Yes, under Craig Davidson, he's released, I found like 4 or 5 different books. It's between novels and short story collections. One is Rust and Bone from 2005, which sounds cool. Gritty short stories that was later adapted into an award-winning film. He also had Cataract City, a dark, sprawling crime literary novel set in Niagara Falls.
Fun.
Yeah, right? And then this one sounds like a mishmash of Craig Davidson and Nick Cutter, The Saturday Night Ghost Club, a nostalgic coming-of-age supernatural thriller that blends his literary style with horror elements. So That's cool. So I believe he started with the literary fiction. So The Troop, which was Cutter's first horror novel under the Nick Cutter name, came out in 2014. So he had originally started by writing, sounds kind of like hard-boiled, realistic, or like realistic fiction, literary fiction kind of realm. I haven't read any of those, but after reading Little Queen, it'd be cool to see what
Little Queen.
You pulled up the Queen. God
damn it.
I did. Little Heaven, and see what that other voice is, right? Because that's ultimately why an author would choose a pen name, I would assume, because it's like, well, if I start writing horror genre fiction when I've built up a readership of literary followers, it's confusing, right?
Yeah,
I'd assume that would be the intention. I don't know.
Well, you don't. If you're really into Nick Cutter stuff and then all of a sudden you pick up a book and it's literary fiction by Nick Cutter. And that's
like, what's this shit? No one's gotten killed.
That's not what I wanted. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's one of many reasons to have a pen name, but it's a logical one, especially if it seems like it's not like it was hard for him to discover what his real name is.
In an interview, he was asked to name a few of his influences that made him want to write horror. And of course, he mentioned Stephen King, but he specifically mentioned the books It by Stephen King and House of Leaves, which we have on our shelves and I do want to get to.
It sits there and intimidates us every day.
I've thought of it as a summer read, but there's also other stuff I want to read, but
you don't want to be set like a beach read, right? You're like sitting on the beach and you're like flipping this book in all different directions. People are walking by like, man, that guy's really struggling. He really needed this vacation. Yeah.
So he's just a guy who, liked horror genre fiction and then also literary fiction and, probably have other things. As a reader, you can explore all kinds of stuff. But it's cool that he was able to he decided to make the jump of like, I just want to do some genre fiction, and it has obviously been received really well. I've only heard good things about the books people I know have read by him. So this was our first one. I picked Little Heaven. All right, here's a summary for y'all. 3 mercenaries walk into the desert and find God in Little Heaven.
Is this going to be a joke? 3 mercenaries walking to the desert.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, but
nice.
It doesn't then go on to a joke.
Oh,
it's well, you tell me. Hold on there.
Okay.
3 mercenaries walk into the desert and find God in Little Heaven,
Ba-dum-bum.
a religious settlement in the New Mexico backwoods near a towering black rock which is a huge red flag that everyone ignores, guided by their admired Amus Flesher, the nefarious pastor inspired by Jim Jones of the People's Temple cult, who is, big surprise, in cahoots with something sinister, draining the essence of the congregation. The Mercs have been hired by one Ellen Bellhaven, who requests their assistance in traveling to Little Heaven in order to save her 6-year-old nephew, Nate, taken there by his cowardly father. Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's like, go do this side quest.
Yeah, basically. Mentioned that Little Heaven is inspired by Jim Jones, for anyone who doesn't know, and we just watched a documentary about this to get more information.
Part of it, I kind of wanted to keep watching it.
I know, me too. I think we should. But Amus Flesher, he has like slicks back his hair and has sunglasses, and he's very much based with, obviously some differences on this person, Jim Jones. If you've heard of cult leader Jim Jones, who in the 70s convinced like thousands of people to move to South America. I forgot. Did you remember where they said in South America?
No,
just
wasn't
like
it
the jungle?
Wait.
South America, Guana. So this was a real person, Jim Jones, very charismatic. Apparently was really inspired by Hitler's presentation style and that cult leader aspect of just like gripping an entire swath of people into your utter clenched fist.
You start out quiet and you get more and more and more intense as you go, and then people can't help but get excited.
So he convinced people, thousands, I don't know. It was a lot to move to a compound in South America. Basically, the modern world is corrupt and wicked. Let's go do our own thing. And then it started out great. They're, having a good time. But he was crazy. He was nuts. He would do things like, one example we were given is he was giving a sermon, and he was so charismatic, but it was like 3 a.m. and he would be livid if somebody fell asleep. He'd be like, "Don't fall asleep because we're praying." And there was some woman that like closed her eyes, and then when she opened them, he had a gun to her head and was like, "Don't you fall asleep to my sermon." That kind of stuff. And then the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid came from this incident. What ended up happening after everything was deteriorating, and a U.S. congressman came to visit with a news crew to be like, "What are you guys doing down here?" So Jim Jones is feeling very paranoid, and then people started to want to leave, so he felt betrayed. And then eventually he convinced over 900 of his followers to drink cyanide-laced fruit punch.
Yeah, but convince them or lied to
convinced,
them?
Coerced. It sounded like a tense situation there. But because he had so much influence.
The documentary. I don't quite know how that happened yet.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't think you convince. I mean, the children. You just say, "Here, drink this."
Sure, I'm sure it was a mix. I'm sure there were devout followers, even through all the.
So creepy.
There's always the sycophants who are like. It's probably mixed with people who felt like they had to, but essentially, yeah, 900 plus mass murder, one of the greatest, I don't know if it's one of the biggest mass murders in modern history. I think I knew drinking the Kool-Aid was associated with cultness, but I don't know. And I think I had heard Jonestown Massacre, but that's crazy. I mean, 900 plus people drink
the Kool-Aid, man. But I always read it more as like like fall in line, right? Drink the Kool-Aid, be delusional. I knew it was a cult thing. I think I did know it was like people drank the Kool-Aid, but I thought it was more of like a small scale, like Manson thing.
Yeah,
where there was just like a handful of people.
Yeah. Yes, it's crazy.
That
documentary, I don't know what it's called, but it's on Hulu, and it's like The People's Temple was the name of the cult. And then it was called Jonestown. So check it out if you're interested, because it's more, I'd say more than an inspiration for Little Heaven itself and Amus Flesher and a lot of what goes on, but plus cosmic and other things, right?
I wish that we had watched it before reading the book.
Well, that was before we read the book.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that would be good.
I think that would have given me more of an understanding of what he was doing. Not that it needed it, but I don't know. It would have been interesting to compare on the other end of it, right?
Yeah. See like a fictionalized interpretation of those events. So this book was my insistence. I had heard good things about Nick Cutter, like I mentioned, and a friend read The Deep and was like, "This is great." And The Little Heaven, like the basic synopsis of like these 3 mercenaries come together and have to go to like this, cult compound place. And what's interesting is even though looking at the back copy, it specifically says 3 mercenaries, in my head, I read it as 3 detectives. So all this time for like this whole year of the season, I was like, oh, it's going to be like detectives in a precinct who find out someone's missing and they have to investigate.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So my expectations were different for sure, at least in terms of like the setup. But what we actually get is more of a almost gunslinger Old West vibe in the beginning with our 3 main characters Micah, the Englishman, Minerva. And it's a cool opening because the Englishman and Micah end up meeting up, and then Minerva comes in to to shoot them, and she's on a bounty, and then they end up together. So it's very yeah. So it's different. So at first I was like, wait a second, this isn't what I wrongfully envisioned in my head, and I was fighting it a little bit, but it ends up being really fun. And then when they go to Little Heaven, that's kind of what I expected, like crazy occult shit. What did you think when you first started it? Or were you like, whatever, this is a book Dan wants to read?
I actually went into this completely blind because I was like, oh, this is a book that Dan wants to read. And I didn't have any idea what it was about. And the title didn't give it away. I thought maybe it would be something to do with religious stuff, but not really sure. And it didn't. It had cult, and usually those are religious-y stuff, but I don't know. It wasn't, I don't know. Would you consider the little monsters demons in this?
I wouldn't use demons.
Yeah.
But I guess it could work.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't, and that's why I'm saying that.
It has that cosmic vibe, even though it is tied to religion. So it could be like, no,
Yeah.
they are demons, but
I
it's
thought
more
of it
of
more
just
as
like
a cosmic.
Yeah, I think more of the Thing kind of situation.
Such a good movie. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I was definitely wondering what the hell you picked when I first read it, or when I first started it, because, yeah, same thing. I was like, wait a minute, what's with the country western vibe? I was like, okay, I can dig it. I like country westerns. But obviously, it took a different turn.
Yeah, the beginning was very country western style because it's these 3 bounty hunters who end up becoming enmeshed, and they even escape a bad situation in the beginning on horses.
Yeah.
So, and the prose is very
it's like an old western town. They're in the saloon and
yeah. I was like, wait, they're not in a police precinct, and I read the back of the book. It is like doesn't say anything about that.
That's amazing.
But and the prose is fun. This feels like a book that I'm sure it took a lot of effort, but the end result is that it feels like Cutter is just having a bunch of fun with his sentences, the way he's writing. Not saying that he's not having fun because it was hard, but you know what I mean? It kind of has that effortless, cool sounding pacing to it, which is actually very effortful. But for example, when we first meet Micah, the first line about him is, Micah Henry Chagru awoke into a darkness so thick it was like all nights folded together. So that's kind of like the
Sounds
whole
cozy.
It reminds me of for anyone who's played Darkest Dungeon, which is a really cool video game with a great narrator.
I love that game.
The narrator is Wayne June, just found out today. And they say lines like the prose and the narrator fit the audiobook narrator for Little Heaven and the style. But one of the most famous lines from that is, remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Oh,
do you remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Such a cool game. Just a bunch of quips like that from a gravelly, like glass sounding voice. And it was the same for the audio book for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you listen to the audiobook.
Yeah,
That's
this was the first time I haven't done audiobooks in a long time, but this was a 700-ish page book. And we had a lot going on. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And the narrator's great. He's perfect for it. And his name is Corey Brill. He's also an actor, has done other stuff.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what it is right now, but it just has that perfect like, yeah.
Nice. All right.
Here, I'll do another. Here's a quote about Minerva talking about the Englishman because she wants to kill Ebb, the Englishman. She did not want him to collapse. He might fall down the steep slope and break his loathsome neck, robbing her of the opportunity to slit it later on and dance a happy jig in the fountaining blood like a child skipping around an open fire hydrant.
Pretty sure you're gonna have to do voices now.
Yeah. Okay.
That was entertaining.
Good. And that's kind of the book. So if my first was like, wait, this is a Western gunslinger, Sin City, cool vibe thing. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But then I just decided to go along for the ride, and I'm glad I did.
It was also a highly supernatural feeling because Ebb has like a scorpion attack him and he seems fine but pretty drunk. And then Minerva is, when they catch up with her, she's trying to commit suicide even though she technically won't die. And I'm like, what is going on with these people? And it was very, I don't know what's the term, but
it felt a little superhero-y or like comic booky in terms of like, oh, they can't die.
Yeah, so when you say like Sin City, I totally get that vibe. And I wasn't really sure how I felt about that at first. I was like, this is very, I don't know, much, you could say. But it worked out. I did enjoy it. And once we understood, or once I understood that this was technically the future, and then we were going to learn why they were the way they were. Or no, wait, that was the past. It started in the
they're
past.
supernatural in the future.
Right.
So there's 1980, which is the frame of most of the story, which takes place in the 1960s.
But we start in the very beginning, the prologue's in the present, and then we go back in the
And it's
past.
a really cool prologue. I really liked it. He does this whole thing with like describing a reverse food chain from aphids to ants to mouse and jackrabbit and fox and all the way up to the apex wolf. And it's just like, it's a really cool.
And I thought it was going to be like The Stand, where like the first creature was eaten by the monster, and then the thing kept growing, right? Isn't that kind of what it was doing?
I just read it as it was just talking about the I don't know, the food chain.
Oh, I thought there was some.
There might have been. It has been a couple weeks now since I read that part.
it was like the monster was in it, and then so as it got eaten, it was growing with
So the monster in this
iteration.
book. Check this out. The kaiju in Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Remember at the end, the guy who comes into the city and he's made up of like the whale and like a bunch of different animals. This is basically that, but grosser.
Oh, that's funny because last night our little one was making up a song about Superfly. And that's who
that movie has a good
Kaiju.
soundtrack too.
Oh, it's a great film. I love that movie.
We do have the supernatural setup, which I was a little bit skeptical of too, because I was like, I don't want characters who can't die, but that's a really small part of the story. It immediately goes back, and it's primarily in the past. 85% of it ish, if not more. 90% of it is in the past before they have this deal that gives them these sort of supernatural powers, right?
It's like The Fisherman, where it starts in the present, goes back. And I think it came back and forth a little bit, but it mostly stuck to the past and then came back to and I remember at the end too, I was like, are they going to wrap up the actual story and like come back to the original thing about Micah's daughter? And they did, but...
Yeah. What do you think about the frame? Because it's so slim that it does feel a little bit like I didn't feel invested in like what's going to happen in 1980 because
it's just like The Fisherman. I don't know. I guess I don't really like that type of style because it tells me two things, right? One, I'm not worried about the characters because I know they'll survive whatever ordeal because we see them in the future or present, however you want to view it. That takes away a bit of the
suspense of who might make it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes me feel at least that I'm a bit more of a lazy reader about it then. And I'm like, oh, well, they'll be fine. So it's just telling the story. And yeah, maybe other people are in trouble, but they're not the main characters. So I know I'm not supposed to care as much. And that's where my brain ends up going with that kind of thing. Now it's different with The Fisherman because it was different people in the past. But so the knowing that they were going to survive, I don't know. there has to be a really good reason for me to appreciate that. And then the second part with that was because it was so thinly laid out, it felt like it just confused me at the beginning for not much gain. I wasn't really sure why we needed that information at that time. I feel like it could have just as easily continued on and maybe just at one point jump forward in time as opposed to forward, back, forward, back, forward, back.
Did it feel a little bit to you like those elements were made to create a hook in the beginning? Like opening with these characters who are suicidal but can't die. I mean, at least Minerva has this whole thing where it's like she hires people to come assassinate her, but at the last second, like when they're doing the draw, she goes into Max Payne bullet time and everything turns slow motion and she ends up shooting him because she can't die at the hands of a man is one, and she just can't kill herself. And then Ebenezer, the Englishman, has a jar with a scorpion and the scorpion like stings his hand and he's like, I'll just keep drinking.
He just gets drunk all the time. Well, and I think that comes from him liking the medicine too much. I don't know, maybe poison is his drug. I don't know. I mean, I could see where that would be the intent to create a hook. It didn't really do that for me. It kind of just confused me. And I think in part it was the mix of the country western vibe with this superhero, we're invincible.
Yeah. But then it kind of becomes a different story when it goes in the past.
Yeah.
And once they get to Little Heaven, I was like, okay, this is cool.
But I don't think it needed that though. I don't think it needed that hook or that because it was so different
and it's
from
so
the actual
thin
story.
too, right?
It kind of feels like, I don't want to say bait and switch, but I just feel like it's like a 180. Like, wait, what? Like I had to, in a sense, restart the story when it went back to the beginning. I'm like, okay, well, I know the characters, but now I have to figure out what the hell's going on. And I understand that idea of here's a tidbit, now we're going to go back and explain it. I do really like in prologues when that is the hook, where you get a scene that is pivotal to the story. You don't really know what's going on, but by the end of the book, you're like, oh, that's it. I get it. But this had so much going on already in and of itself that if that was the intent to give that, oh, I get it now, it just didn't do it.
Yeah, it did feel like it was a Western buildup, but then when they get to Little Heaven, there's no Western feel. I mean, they are in New Mexico and it's desert, but it doesn't really have that feel. It becomes the story
it's not like cowboys in a saloon. That's the kind of Western setting, not in, the Southwest.
Yeah. But then they get to Little Heaven and things get crazy. Things get really crazy.
And I'm harping on the opening here, but I did enjoy it. It's not that I didn't enjoy the book. That part of it kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, when they get to Little Heaven, he does good with the body horror, I think. Yeah,
there's some great body horror. His language is just so rich and evocative of whatever he's talking about. It just has such a strong control of the prose in this book. And it's so stylistic that when he describes the horror and he doesn't shy away from any of it, it's really detailed in a cool way that works with the prose. Lots of splattering. Yeah. And squeezing and purple and penises. Popping. And, okay. Amus Flesher, the pastor, gross. And his penis. Jesus Christ. He had, yeah. So this pastor, don't squeeze it. So what he grew up in grew up in orphanage? He was like a street kid, right? And then that's right. He gets picked up and put in the San Francisco orphanage. And it's run by nuns, and they're like, "Don't play with yourself." This was a very Stephen King-esque thing. All the kids are like, and then he ends up like stabbing some of the kids with little needles just to like fuck with them and torture them. The special needs kids, basically. It's the 60s, man. It's different back then. But what's interesting about Flesher is there's a aspect of him when he's at Little Heaven where the Sister Muriel was the name of the like hard ass nun who was like, "Stop jacking off," and then like he just remembers that through his whole life, like you touching your dirty pecker, and that's kind of a Stephen King
See,
cheese.
you gotta do the voices, dude. It's great. You dirty pecker.
But I don't know how I feel about like when the character hears I realize it's a book and that's how you get the influence of a character who influenced them. You know what I mean? But there's like a touch of cheese of like, he remembers the dialogue of this character in the past.
Oh, I've talked about that with one of the authors I've worked with, of having memories and like saying, as this person's remembering it, and then she went and sat in the chair and like turned towards me. And it's like, that's not how people remember things. You can remember conversations and they're probably not accurate because, right, your memory. But I'm like, you can't remember like, okay, and then such and such sat across the desk, like, so yeah, you have to play with it. If you want it to be from that person's perspective, it needs to be more jumbled or unreliable. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, I think with dialogue, yes, it can work. I think it would be better though if it shows like from the past and then it has him remember it, but like different, like how the brain plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
Could be a cool moment. But I mean, you have to find a way to get that point across. But I think there are some stronger ways than others. I think in this instance, yeah, it was all right. It was fine. I mean,
yeah.
He had those words drilled into his psyche.
It's also the whole thing with, so he's obviously the antagonist here of Little Heaven and, the charismatic leader and all that. And I do like how like halfway through he loses the congregation, like he loses their faith, but then gets some of it back. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, and they, they're just like pushover sheep. Ugh.
Yeah, and what I like too is right when
it's like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah, right when the mercenaries and Ellen arrive in Little Heaven, it's all weird right away, which is great about horror. They don't have to like, I don't know, like tiptoe up to it, because like right on the outskirts of Little Heaven, they see trees with weird carvings and stuff, which kind of felt like the Ritual or like Blair Witch, right? Yeah, totally had that thing. And then they come across some kids who have a shrew tied to a post by an anthill, and they're like poking it and stuff. And these mercenaries are like, this is weird. And then they continue on and find the preacher and all this stuff. And I did like how right off the bat, it's like, what the hell is going on? And I liked the character of Ellen, who wants to
character of Ellen.
I liked the character of. Okay,
that's one way to put it.
I like the impetus of going there to find her nephew. I don't remember if right away she's like, I need to get him out, or if it's just like, I need to check on him, which is what happened with Jim Jones and the People's Temple at Jonestown. Is the congressman and the news team came to be like, what's going on in here? And it's similar reception, right? Jim Jones is like, you guys can stay here, because they get chased by a weird creature like in the desert, right?
And yeah,
they
and
pretend they're hikers.
Eb gets his foot's twisted when they fall into a trap, and so they're letting them stay while they heal. They're pretending to be hikers.
But it's weird. They can tell they're not wanted, and that Amos Flesher is like not happy there are outsiders there, and that, because then
also it's like, well, we have to be kind to the non-believers. Yeah. I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand how people can get swept up into stuff like this.
Well,
like,
they had good examples, right? Like there's a character, Cyril or Virgil, I don't remember which one, but a lot of these characters had desperate backgrounds, right? Like one of them was
that's true.
Just a total junkie. Then Amos Flesher's like, come in and like mop my floors, or it wasn't that, it was like do carpentry on my church or something, and he's like, he gave me a purpose. And from that character's point of view, it's life-changing, because he's like, I'm just a fucking nobody addict, and then somebody gives me something to do with my hands, and she tells me I have a purpose. Where from Flesher's point of view, he's like, can you like do some work around here, and I'll make you feel like you're a chosen one, and it works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like half of the German population drank the Kool-Aid with the Nazis. So
And
it happens in massive scales. It's just, I guess, as an outsider watching that happen right now in our country, it's like, and I'm not an outsider of the country, but you know what I mean? Like not being part of this fanatical obsession with our fucking president.
Yeah.
Like seeing
a lot
it,
of
it's just like,
similarities here.
What?
I did like how this
He
was.
could do anything. What is it? I could shoot someone in the street and it'll be fine. You know, like, and people are okay with that.
You know what
It's
this
like,
book reminded me of?
crazy.
There was in the news, I don't know, a month or it was a little while ago now, but at Mar-a-Lago there was a golden statue erected of Trump. Who knows if it's actually gold or whatever it is, but the article is how it's gold. And there was a preacher or a priest or something there. I mean, you know how a golden idol in Christianity is like an affront to God, right?
Idol, yeah.
It was literally saying, or at least it did not acknowledge the fact that there's this like golden statue of Trump and the preacher was, I don't know, whatever he was doing. But it's like, there's literally a leader of Christianity next to a golden statue. It's like 1984, right? What's the saying?
Double speak? Or?
But there, it was like, don't believe what you see or hear, or like, don't believe what you see.
Oh, the ministry of like
Missing of Truth is Harry Potter.
unhearing or something.
Yeah, but like, don't believe what you see. But that, just that
Isn't
concept
it the ministry
of like,
untruth, I think.
maybe, but the concept of like, you're seeing all of this evidence that's clearly contradictory of what this leader is telling you. Even though it's like literally in the Bible, do not worship golden idols, right? And in Little Heaven, it's like, yeah, there's a towering black rock and there's all these signs that things aren't going well. And like the kids are torturing animals and nobody's going to school. But forget all that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not about what's happening. It's about what we're told is happening by our charismatic leader. So that part of this book I definitely liked. I mean, it's not like a new concept to have the charismatic leader, but definitely being in America at this time under Trump is like,
It's fitting.
It's fitting. And I do like to see fictional interpretations of things that we're dealing with in real life when it's handled well. And it was.
Yeah.
Plus, it was inspired by Jim Jones, so it wasn't like, oh, this guy's a stand-in for Trump. There's just
Well,
similarities.
this was written before.
Was it?
Yeah. I thought it came out in like 2017.
Well, that was...
Wasn't he elected in 2018? Or was it 16? Fuck. I don't know.
You're right. It was 2017. And I don't even think it was written, necessarily with that in mind, but just
it wasn't. It wasn't at that point at that time.
Yeah, this is
funny how
a
history
type of
repeats
character.
itself. Yeah.
But this isn't a political podcast. So
Yeah, definitely not.
Well, how do you
it's
feel?
a religious podcast, clearly.
How do you feel about when things start really deteriorating?
So at the beginning.
Well, at first it's like, this is weird and unsettling.
I know, I'm kidding.
So our first hint is what? There are people who go missing in the surrounding desert
Yeah, that
woods.
kid, right?
There's this kid, Eli.
And then they're like, "Oh, we'll help." They're like, "No outsiders." And then Eli mysteriously comes back, but he's all fucked. And it's like, well, he kind of was already. But and then more kids go missing, right? And that's when the parents start freaking out. They're like, "Where are our kids? We got to get outsiders." And then you see the cracks really start to form in this cult. But yeah, it was, once it picked up, it was a bit of a slow burn, I'd say, until, I don't know, halfway to...
Yeah, I'm glad I audiobooked it because it does have that. It's like, feels like a tale being told.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
And, but yeah, once it gets going and there's all the blood and guts, I'm like, yeah. And I had read before we started reading it, I read someone's review that I follow, I think on Goodreads. And they just said, oh, this is, at first it didn't really read like Nick Cutter. And then like halfway through, like he started to come through as an author. And I was like, okay, well, that's good to keep in mind. I'm assuming it seemed to be about the time that all the gory descriptions started coming out. I'm like, okay.
I like
this. Now it's getting good. Get to the good stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it. What about you? Like, I feel like you had something in mind when you were asking me that.
What did I ask? What was the question? I was thinking of the next thing.
You asked what I thought about. Oh, what your brain is on the next step? You're not actually listening to me talk? What do you have, ADHD? You asked me what I thought about like towards the middle when it started to pick up. Like,
Oh yeah. Okay.
you know,
So what is this like? Is the catalyst is when they find Eli, kind of. Well, not the catalyst, but like that's when things start going really bad, right? Because
Yeah.
Eli's missing, and they find him behind. He's like behind the altar, behind the
Well, and
chapel
he-
or something, holding a bird, and he's all fucked
his face
up.
is all fucked.
Oh, children in the corn! They go.
Yeah.
They get all children in the corny.
And then they like hide him in the building. They're like, he's fine. He's just not feeling well. And they're all like, something's wonky here. And then he escapes and goes with like more children. And then, then the adults finally give a shit.
And then what's interesting is they find. So we get a little touch of the reformatory in here where they find the boys' school. It's just like a chapter, but this was the who is the ultimate bad guy. This is like the who's the like ancestral bad guy that horror does a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was the school principal or whatever, Augustus Preston is, I think, what his name was.
Nice memory.
Well, yeah. Well, I just read my notes.
Oh,
So-
okay.
and he ends up being like the disgusting monstrous creature at the end, right? So it was kind of like, we'll plant this little here's where it started thing. But yeah, so that, I don't know, that was interesting. I liked
how Amos was the ultimate bad guy, but then he actually wasn't. Then he gets fucked too.
yeah, that's great.
I liked that. It was kind of a comeuppance.
Oh, we have a reverse You Weren't Meant to Be Human. Go listen to that episode where Micah at the end, when he slits open his belly so the like creepy baby can crawl inside of him. That was cool.
If I'm like just imagining people who haven't read this be like, wait, what? What did he do? What the hell did you just say? That was a good book, and also that was a good moment in this book.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on the end of season 2 here, right? So we've done how many episodes have we done?
I can
30-ish?
tell you in a
40-ish?
second. This season, this one is our 22nd
Oh wow!
episode.
Oh, 22nd. Okay. But my point of saying that is I feel like our episode is stronger when we just talk about the book like you know it, right? Because otherwise we can kind of fall into we're recounting the book. And so this book and Starving Saints and the next book we're working on now, I'm writing a lot more notes. So I think we'll talk about the book like you've read it. And if you haven't, like whatever.
Then why the hell are you listening?
I don't know. I hope you can still enjoy this
Yeah,
if you haven't
I'm
read
kidding.
it. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a long spiel for yes.
We have 50 minus 14 episodes in total.
Wait, 50? That's a weird. Oh, so 38.
Isn't that how French do math?
Wait. Did you say 50 minus 14?
Yeah.
36
Yeah.
episodes.
Not including this one. This one will be our 50 minus 15.
So I just did a bad equation there, which a quick side quest here. We were at our son's student teacher conference, and one of the things
Oh, that was great.
he did is like the teacher took out a little board game, like roll the dice and move your pebble, and you would land on a math equation. And we all played it together like, hey, mom and dad play too. And we only rolled 3 times each, but each time I panicked because it was like minus with 7s, which I kind of have to think about.
Is that your hard one?
Yeah, 7s are a little tricky. And I don't know, I felt on the spot. So for each one, I was like, I gave the wrong answer for a 2nd grade math question. It was great. I'm not surprised at all, but
You also had to, were you trying to do the math in German in your head? Or were
yes.
you,
Yeah, I was trying to translate and do the math, which was, yeah.
And Germans say numbers different. So they'd say like 4 and 20 instead of 24.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But none of the kids at Little Heaven are learning any math. The school's not in any use. They're just torturing newts, being creepy.
Yeah, and drinking the Kool-Aid. That was a great scene.
Yeah, that was some Red Wedding vibes right there.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, as we mentioned, that was directly taken from, what was it? People's Temple. which I think is cool. I like seeing how authors.
I think it's horrible.
I mean, what I mean
So
to say
cool people did
is like
that.
I like how there's clear references to the Jonestown stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
it feels. I feel like Nick Cutter feels very confident in his writing. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I could see another author being like, "Well, I want to
That's
make it."
offensive.
Well, not even offensive, but like I want to skew it a little bit more so people aren't like, "Oh, you just took that from that thing." I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
I
different
see.
authors use their inspiration
he
different
did
way.
soften it a bit. He didn't actually murder all the children.
I mean, a bunch of people do die though. And then Nate's dad getting shot was cool because he was a coward. And then just that scene. It's people drink the Kool-Aid and then end up shooting each other, right? It's like a shootout.
It's
And
just like, how can we make this more intense? Like, I'm literally spitting up my intestines while I'm shooting people.
it always kind of
They're
reminded
dragging
me of
themselves around the floor while they're disintegrating from the inside.
It made me want to watch
What the fuck?
In the Mouth of Madness again. Remember at the end of that? I remember the scene. There's like in the bar and the bartenders don't they start shooting each other at the end of
Mouth
that?
of Madness.
With the Jurassic Park guy.
Oh my god, I don't remember
Neil.
watching this movie.
It's not Neil Young. Who's that guy? He's the Jurassic Park guy.
Neil Young.
Jurassic Park guy.
Wow.
Neil. Sam Neill.
Neil Young, Sam Neill, close enough.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean that's also cosmic horror. He goes to the weird town at the end. They start going crazy.
I just we just watched that, didn't we? And I don't remember watching it.
Wait, we didn't just watch this.
Oh, we did it?
I
You just
mean,
said we did. How long ago did we watch
I
this?
don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, but I've seen it a few times.
Oh, okay. That
just-
makes me feel
the
better.
little
I was
heaven.
thinking like a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh my God, I have really bad memory.
We have it in the Mouth of Madness manga that a friend gave to us for Christmas that I think I want to read.
You think?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to read, but am I going to do it? I think we should. All right, back to Little Heaven.
Side quest complete.
How did you feel about the end of it? Do you like the cosmic horror, disgusting, everything's super gross kind of stuff? And then the baby. What did the baby represent? Was it just that they were taking kids and
Rebirth.
and it's like a demon baby?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, did we ever figure out where it came from?
Did it burst out of Augustus Preston
Right.
or Flesher?
It reminds me of Spaceballs. Not again.
Just a bunch of shit was gory and blowing up, and then the baby was crawling out of stuff and then crawling into stuff. Oh, and then
It's like a kid at like the Burger King playground, just like crawling in and out of the tubes. Except it's people's intestines.
And then with Flesher, I
my
remember
God.
thinking at the end, it was one of those things where it was quick cutting between different characters because, you know, all the intense actions happening at the end, but it kept going back to like, that baby. And Flesher being like, gross.
Oh my God. You know what scene I really liked was it Otis? It was one of the jerk
Yeah.
guys, and he was like
No,
a
Otis was
super
all right, I
creep.
think. It was
Oh.
the assholes were Cyril, who was just a terrible person, and Virgil.
Which one was it where he was like having a good memory sort of, but like he was dragging himself over barbed wire.
Cyril.
So cool. And he's like, I think this is supposed to hurt.
Yeah, he was a really good like point of
What?
view shithead. And then I liked after he died, it was cool because the other merc, or you know, like the other little heaven guard was Virgil, and Virgil's like, without Cyril, I got nobody to follow.
Yeah.
I don't know if he talked like that,
But then doesn't he towards the end too start to be like, whoa, this is going a little too far?
yeah, well, they're just
It's like, oh, no shit, dude. As he's mixing the Kool-Aid, like, what's all, there's a lot of sugar I'm putting in here. Like, wow, you are so naive.
yeah, the preacher's like, keep adding sugar to that fruit juice.
Sugar.
I liked the point of views though, because we had the point of view of both of those shitty characters, and then all three of the mercs plus Ellen, and then we got scenes with Nate, and I thought the
And
scenes
Amos.
Yeah, I thought the scenes with Nate were handled really well. It's hard to do a kid, and I never felt annoyed. Not like, ugh, kid. It was fine.
Wasn't he like a tween or?
I thought I wasn't sure. And I think he was 6. He was 6 when he's 6 when he got there.
What?
So maybe he's been there. I don't know. I looked up how
Oh.
old was Nate in Little Heaven, and the internet told me 6.
Dang,
which
I
seems
thought he
young.
was like at least 13.
Maybe he got there when he was 6, and then now he's 8. But he's like a young. He's a young kid. He's around our.
Oh,
Well, I don't. He's a young kid.
okay. Well, that
Yeah.
did not come across to me. I definitely thought he was older.
I could be missing vital information. Like, yeah, but they get there when he's 10. I don't remember.
I mean, whatever. I think he was, the character was fine. I just didn't imagine him that young. What? I feel like we read something else. Oh, no, was it Rosemary's Baby? No, there was something I read where there was like a kid in it. And I was like, there's no friggin' way this kid is that young. Like, I don't know. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
Either
We
my
noticed,
kid's an
like-
idiot or people like adults don't know how to raise children. I'm guessing it's the latter.
Well, I think part of it too is, you do have needs of like moving the plot along, and
Well,
if the
just make
kid's
the
just
damn
like
kid older, then.
diarrhea, You're like,
Yeah.
come on,
I'm going to
dude.
tell the fart joke.
Yeah.
What did you think of like the baby and the? I feel like I just kind of. Shifted gears, but what did you think of the baby crawling in and out?
It was fun. It
The
was
baby's
great.
crawling. The baby's crawl out.
Like I said, it kind of reminded me of You Weren't Meant to Be Human differently. And I've mentioned this before, but it did have that thing where it's like, okay, at the end of Cosmic Horror, you come across a disgusting thing, but it's fun. Like he had fun with it, and it was cool reading about, I don't know, limbs cracking and bodies bursting open and like the creature made of flies and all these disgusting things, and it just like
That's like what the Queen is. A lot of
it was just a visual. It's like a Shakespeare tragedy where at the end everybody just dies in a disgusting gory pool of blood, and it's just it's kind of fun to read.
I think the thing that sometimes gets me with cosmic horror is I'm not really sure like the why. Like, so why is this thing doing this, or where did it come from? And either I missed it, or it's just a thing that you're just supposed to be like, it's not a big
I think it's
deal.
part of it. I mean, we have the Black Rock Mountain here, like the towering obelisk, which reminded me of Black Iron Mountain and We Sold Our Souls.
We Sold Our Souls.
Listen to
was
that
a fun
episode
read.
too. Look at all these. What's it called?
Metalheads.
What am I giving?
References?
Yeah, something like that. Plugs. I'm plugging our own stuff. It's like when you turn on a streaming channel and they advertise something on that streaming channel.
But we're advertising ourselves.
Yeah. But anyway,
It's a circular advertising scheme. We're our own pyramid scheme.
but at least we'll tell you up front.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I think from what I've read, and here's how it's working out with my cosmic story too, is it's like introduced a weird element being it's the towering black rock obelisk, and someone who reads cosmic horror, and I assume most just people who read horror.
Wait, isn't that 2001 Space Odyssey?
It's in an interview someone
just
mentioned that
thought
to
of that.
him, and he's like, I'm aware of that, but he hasn't seen the movie. He's like,
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
like he knew about that first scene, but he's like, I actually don't know what that represented beyond that first part.
That is such a weird scene in that movie, the beginning. Oh my God.
But
Speaking of cosmic horror, well, like not really the horror, but the what the fuck.
Well, I mean, it's the same, like Color Out of Space is a meteorite falls out of the sky, and then this farm family becomes disgusting, and you're just like, yeah, I get it. There's a weird thing that shouldn't be there, and it's making people crazy, and at the
Cosmos
center
are
of it all
whack.
is a disgusting meat monster. That's so cosmic horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Stars are
enjoyed it.
not aligned as they should be.
So how did you feel about it? I mean, you've kind of been hinting at it, but overall,
No, I
what do you
enjoyed
think?
it. I didn't really know what to expect, so that made it easy, but also maybe a little confusing. Since it kind of, especially towards the beginning, I was like, is this a Western? Is this supernatural? Is this in the 80s? Is this in the 60s? And then once like Little Heaven became a thing, I was like, oh, it's a cult thing. And then it made more sense. But I didn't know it was a cult thing until it was a cult thing. So that was an interesting way to go into a book completely blind.
That's how I used to
still
take you to
haven't.
movies before.
Yeah,
We had a
I do
child
enjoy it.
not telling you until we're there. I liked doing that.
Yeah, and I figure since you picked this book and we were reading it regardless, it would be fun to go in blind. So
Does
I
it
enjoyed
definitely make you want to read the deep? I mean, you've mentioned that you want to, but you're like, oh yeah, I want to.
Yeah, I
read
like
that.
his writing style. It was a little long-winded at times. I feel that there were parts where it wasn't necessary to go into as much detail, or for instance, like have that whole beginning. It wasn't necessary, but I think that he did well enough with his writing, and it was enjoyable. And when the gore was there, it was really, really well done. That I would totally read more. And I read The Queen, and I thought it was fine. It wasn't my favorite. I forgot that it was written by him. Oops, but so I wouldn't say he's like my next favorite author, but I would definitely read more of his stuff for sure.
Yeah, it had that Stephen King vibe of like, oh, it's just a story well told that because it's
fun
longer,
read.
you get to really just sink into it.
Yeah.
That was fun. In a way where, a lot of our books, I feel like generally we hit the 300-page range, and that forces a kind of pacing. There's obviously flexibility, but
Yeah.
with a longer book, you can just really settle into it.
I
which is fun.
think my complaint about it though comes from the timeline jumping. I don't know why, but
because it took the stakes away, and that
it takes the stakes away, and it kind of throws me off, and then I feel like I have to reset where I am in the book, and especially when you're jumping between characters as well, and it's not consistent. It's not like, oh, we're in this person's mind, so we're in the past, or I'm working on a book right now where it does that, where if it's in the mindset of one of the characters, it's in the past. And if it's in the mindset of in the POV of the main character, it's in the present. So when it's this other person's voice per se, that it's going to be in the past. But to have them going back and forth and all the stuff going on and the changes of perspectives, it's
Like
not
a
a
little too
bad
much?
thing, but I don't know. This is the second time where I've found that the back and forth timeline jump has been an issue for me. And it's funny because they've both been cosmic horror books. So maybe that just throws a wrench in it for me. I have no idea, but
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say like that's a cosmic horror trope. I think that's just the storytelling style. Would you call a storytelling a structure? It's a structural thing more than from cosmic horror. I think too, like, so in the 1980 scenes, kind of the emotional thread, right, is we have Micah's daughter, Petty. I think her name is Petty.
Yeah, Petty.
It kind of had the same issue where she's gone missing, and or something like that.
She's disappeared, and he goes to get
One of the creatures
Eb
is like
and
around her.
Yeah, and so they all know what's going on, and we don't.
But yeah, it was
and
the
we
same
find
thing.
out by the end. Oh, okay, it's got the thing. But to me, it's like, well.
But I didn't really care about Petty. I was like, okay, I know it's Micah's daughter, but like, okay.
Now, if it had been the other way around, where that beginning where she goes into Superiors and he goes and collects everyone is actually at the end, now I care because I know who the characters are, and I be like, oh, Micah has a kid.
Yeah.
As opposed to like,
who are these people?
He doesn't have a kid yet. Oh, he'll have a kid eventually, and not giving a shit about the kid.
Yeah.
But already knowing it's there takes away that surprise or that interest for me.
Yeah, so it had that fisherman thing where they told you something's going to happen, and it happens, but you like knew it was going to get there.
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
so it kind of kills it for me. I do really like, though, the ending. I liked the part with Ellen, because in the beginning we learned that they all, in a sense, made they made their wish, and it turned out to be a curse. And Ellen, at one point in the beginning, Micah gets out of bed and Ellen's there, but she's just laying there with her eyes open, and her eyes are always open, and she's just laying there. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. She's like in some kind of coma or something. And then at the end we get, so her story I thought was interesting, because there was not enough, I don't know why, but like the only thing we got is she's laying in bed, she can't close her eyes, and she seems to be in a coma, and like no more information until the end of the book. And then you're like, oh shit, the reasoning is so fucked. And maybe because it's so fucked, as opposed to just like, and now we're going to finish the story that we started at the beginning.
But then it's kind of interesting, because the beginning felt like, had the Western vibe, and then her being asleep by Micah felt like a fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, but she wasn't asleep. Her eyes were open. It was like, what the fuck's going on here? Yeah, so there was just a lot of mush-moshing.
Maybe a little too much like cross-genre pollination, maybe?
At the beginning, yes. I think it's fine to do that, but to throw it all in your face at first, it's like, I felt like I was trying to figure out too many things too quickly for how long the book was, for how much time he had to pull you along and show you all this stuff. I felt at the beginning it was just like, bam, here's all the stuff you need to know. And it's like, wait, what? Like, oh man, I need to like take notes just to keep track of it, you know?
I took a lot of notes.
You did take a lot of notes. So did you feel that at all with the split, or was it fine for you? Because you did take a lot of notes. So do you feel like you were able to follow along enough in the beginning to feel happy with the end, or?
I mean, I mostly agree with you. I didn't feel like the beginning. Oh, you mean, for me, the end was what was like the gross baby stuff, and how it was Augustus Preston, like all the cosmic thing. Yeah. And then the end with like she's asleep, and then Petty is okay or whatever, was just like fine. It felt like it structurally had
like an
to be
afterward,
there.
Right?
Yeah, it did.
Like we have the prologue and the afterward that didn't.
Yeah, for me the story was Little Heaven.
Yeah,
and the frame.
I mean, it's literally the title.
Yeah, right. But I felt the frame. I didn't dislike it, but it did feel kind of like okay.
Interesting. It's a structure that we have now experienced multiple occasions.
I guess the effect it ultimately has in the mind, since you know they're going to be okay, it's not who's going to survive. It's what experience did these bedraggled protagonists go through that's made them so hard-boiled at this point, right?
What did they have to do to survive?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. What you been reading?
I read 2 horror books and 1 history book. So I've been actually reading more horror in the background than the last couple of months. My non-horror book, I read The Wars of the Roses by Dan Jones, a favorite of mine. I'm running out of Dan Jones books to read. I've read his trilogy of historical fiction, and I've read most of his medieval nonfiction at this point. So I think I have like the Crusades and the Magna Carta, and then like maybe one more that I haven't read from him. The Wars of Roses is really fun. It's the York versus Leicester, you know, the red rose versus the white rose, and lots of murders and civil war. So it's fun. I enjoyed it. I always say if you like history, go read Dan Jones. At least if you like medieval history. And then for my horror, I read This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno for my HWA book club. And that was really good. That was grief horror, and it was really well done. Heavy on the grief in the beginning, and then it lightens up a little bit with the horror kicking in, and then it has a good conclusion. So overall, I really liked it. I'll be curious to see what my fellow book clubbers had to say about it. Yeah, if you can handle grief horror, it's very good.
I love grief.
Yeah.
I wallow in it.
Oh, you grievous child.
Which really of all the books we've read, I mean, The Fisherman is the only one I can think of that was like, this is grief horror. Where I End, was that grief horror? I forgot. Was the protagonist there? Had she like lost her child or something?
I think so.
Maybe I'd say
that was grief horror.
Where I End and The Fisherman were clearly grief horror.
Yes. I'm trying to think if we had any other ones. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and
that's it.
Oh.
Really. Punk rock ghost story. They lost their singer. It was very
So sad.
He literally just quote unquote ran away in the desert. Yeah.
He was an asshole though, so there's no grief.
It's hard for me because I've read more grief horror than what we've done on the podcast, but that was it.
Maybe a little bit of Pinata. I wouldn't call that like grief horror in the way that Fisherman was.
That's more like generational trauma horror.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so then the last book I read was Mouth by Joshua Hole, and that's more of a novella. That was fun. That was a story of a mouth that a person finds in the ground and starts feeding it, and it gets bigger. And it's a fun, quirky, what kind of horror is that? Almost bizarro.
Like, oh yeah. Did it feel like kind of B horror?
Yeah, and it felt like it knew it was, and it wanted to be.
That's
and
fun.
It dug into it. And one of the main characters is like a horror film encyclopedia, just it was clever. I enjoyed it. And that was actually published by a local press, Tenebris Press, which is here in Portland. They do a lot of novellas and stuff.
There was also, I don't know if it was in Portland, but it was around us. There was BizarroCon, which I want to check out sometime. I think it happened last month or something.
It was maybe in Salem.
The author, I can't remember his name right now, of Punkland was there.
Oh, cool. I saw some pictures on Instagram.
It's like Carl Milton III or something like that.
Oh, nice.
The author.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of like panels and some art stuff and like people playing Battleship.
Cool.
So yeah, it seems.
I don't know if it's just like bizarro fiction or if it's like a weird fair and weird fiction authors also go there.
Kind of like the UFO.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fest in McMinnville. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
So I went right from Little Heaven into our next book, which we'll get to in a second. I started that. I'm really enjoying it already. But I'm also biased because it's by an Irish author and takes place in Ireland, but also I'm enjoying it.
Is it in Cork?
It's moves around.
Oh, okay.
You'll see. You'll see.
Fair enough.
And then also, so I told you last week I've been reading this book, The Art of Slow Writing, which has helped me with my getting through my manuscript. And one of the strategies the author of that book uses, she talks about copy work, which is literally copying longhand a story or passages that you like. And so she did I think it was a biography of Virginia Woolf or just a story with Virginia Woolf, and there were elements of that. I don't remember exactly because I haven't read her other work, but she did a Virginia Woolf thing. And in preparation for that, she copied by longhand all of Virginia Woolf's published novels, which I think were, I don't know how many it was, 5 to 10, whatever it is. But, like just copied it all down. And I was like, damn, that sounds cool. I'm going to try that. So I have this one book that I really want us to read. It's a short story collection. I want to read through it and then pick maybe 2 or 3 for us to read closely. Because this is like I don't know, weird fiction when people talk about, the leading authors
when
of
they
weird
say it like
fiction.
that.
Yeah, when it is a category, weird fiction, this author, Laird Barron, comes up a lot, who I've mentioned before.
Jeff Vandermeer's on the cover.
Yeah, like Jeff Vandermeer,
Not a
Laird
picture of
Barron,
him,
Brian
a quote.
Evanson are weird fiction authors, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's really cool. But because it's weird, I think for us to talk about it, we would have to read, 2 or 3 a couple of times. Like you need to read it and then read it again. Yeah. But anyway, I read one of the stories and it was really cool. And so I've started the last few nights copying a page of it longhand at a time. And it is really cool because it forces you to read the story so much more closely, and you're figuring out some of the riddles the author had to figure out because I don't know, you're slowing it down so much and copying it, and just it helps with pacing, which is something I'm still figuring out, and just like lots of little questions. Like I did some cursive writing in there for internal character dialogue. But yeah, I think I'm
wrote
gonna
in cursive.
Yeah, you should see it. It's really blotchy because I was writing it slowly because it's been so long, so I kind of had to like think about it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna copy this out, the whole story out, because it's one of those authors I read. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I wanna learn this and like absorb some of it. And what's great about it too is I did it when I came home from music practice last night, which is usually like I get home at 10:30. And it's kind of late, but I'm, hyped up from playing punk rock. So I'll usually just like go play video games for half an hour because my brain is dead. But copying longhand, I can do that at the end of the night with my brain dead because I'm just, copying words from the book. So it's like, oh, okay, this is a cool thing I can do when I'm brain dead right before bed. That's not just video games.
Yeah, not on a screen.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
It feels like it's definitely helpful practice. But yeah, so that's it. I just started the next book, and then I've started longhand copying this short story. It's a good segue into what's coming up next, which is Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. And that will be coming out on June 16th on Bloomsday. The book's not connected to Bloomsday, except it's by an Irish author. So it, has that pretty strong connection.
We bought it in Ireland.
Yeah.
The year that we went to Bloomsday. So there's your connection.
Oh, that's right. It was on that trip. Yes.
Yeah. 2024.
And we got it in Dublin,
we were there
right?
for Bloomsday. I think we did. So
I think we did too.
We will have bought it around the time that we will be posting our thing.
It's giving me a little bit vibes of 28 years later in terms of like just the Teletubby connection.
Speaking of Teletubbies,
well, there's like a children's show at the core. The big part of the hook is that there's a children's show that people remember differently, and it's creepy. And Teletubbies in 28 years later is
not a good thing.
People in the weird gang were addicted to.
Yeah,
was that in 28 Weeks Later too? Was Teletubbies a thing? Is that like?
I don't remember, but I remember it was in the preview.
Yeah.
Of it. But it's funny enough, speaking of, I just had to tell an author that they were saying like, oh, these kids were watching their favorite show in 1994 was Teletubbies. And I'm like, really? And I had a very millennial moment. I went online and Teletubbies didn't air in the United States until 98. So I had to like say, actually, fact check.
Yeah, that's what that
Teletubbies. I'm like, you should pick Barney because Barney was so fun. And then I'm like, wow, tell me you weren't a 90s kid, but without telling me you weren't a 90s kid.
I was there. And then our final episode of the season, A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This was another one that I wanted to read. I've read 2 books by him now, Cabin at the End of the Woods.
That's such a good book.
Yeah, I really like the book. And then I also read Disappearance at Devil's Rock, which was pretty good, which was part of the genes of that was, do you remember the movie? It was Australian. It's called like Lake Monroe. God, I'm getting it wrong. Mono
Lake? Isn't that a Stephen King book?
No, Mono Lake is in California. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I've read 2 of his novels and A Head Full of Ghosts. I don't know if that was his breakout novel or if that's just the novel that I had heard of. But I've often heard, Paul Tremblay, A Head Full of Ghosts is like what often comes up, and it sounds cool.
I read this book.
Oh, yeah. You did.
I didn't know that until this moment. I read it in 2015 when it came out.
Did you write a review?
No, but I gave it 4 stars.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, you'll remember it as you read it.
Yeah, maybe. So I've read this book, apparently, The Cabin at the End of the World, and I've read Horror Movie, which came out 2 years ago now, I think. I have Paul Bearer's Club on our shelf, and I really want to read that one too.
Yeah, same. I'm excited. I like his writing. So that'll be it. June 30th, end of season 2. We break for the summer. And I don't know. I don't want to promise anything, but hopefully we'll maybe release a
couple
episodes.
Now that we're not in crazy holiday, I feel like we should be
doing what, like taking a break over the winter instead.
Yeah.
But that's spooky season too.
Yeah, I know. And with the kiddo out of school, it makes more sense in the summer, but I'll miss it.
Yeah, well, we'll hopefully come at you with an update or two of what we're reading, because we'll still be at the grindstone for sure. And
right around the corner, we're going to StokerCon.
Yeah,
in Pittsburgh.
Yep, excited. First writing convention I've been to. And you too, yeah?
Same convention. Yeah, I haven't been to many conventions.
Bunch of cool looking panels.
I am. Yeah, I'm excited.
So thanks for listening, and we'll see you for Knock Knock Open Wide and then a Head Full of Ghosts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, if you've made it this far, then we didn't scare you off. Thanks for listening to Dusk to Dawn, reading horror and weird fiction.
Please rate our podcast, and if you like, follow us on Instagram at Dusk to Dawn Podcast, which is also our Gmail address. Tell us what you liked or didn't like about the show, and let us know if you have any book suggestions. See you next time. Bye.